Keyonte took the big jump. Who joined him? You might be surprised to find out with a lot of good signs on one of the Jazz young seven. Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Give you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked on Jazz and making it your first listen of the day and making us the #1 sports podcast network. Today's show brought to you by Game Time. Game Time. Right now, use the Game Time app, create an account, get $20 off your first purchase. All right, here's the plan. We're at game 31, but the world doesn't work this way. After every 10 games this year, Will Hardy always says he evaluates by games of windows of 10. So we are going to look at windows of 21 through 30 for the Utah Jazz and that 10-game stretch. And we're looking at by individual development of players. Lauri played in 6 of these 10. Jusuf Nurkic played in 7 of these 10. Kevin Love played in 7 of the 10, just to give you kind of an idea. And we're going to look at each of them from our player standpoint, statistics that matter to them, how they developed. And then as we have at the end of every 10, we will evaluate and rank which of the 7 do we think is most likely to be a rotation player on the Utah Jazz when they next make the playoffs. That's always been our chart. And that's been the little game. And obviously Keyonte has changed this game entirely. So we'll look at all those players. We'll look at some Lauri Nurk stuff, and then we'll look at the Celtics, and then we'll be wrapped. Okay. So let's start with Key. It's kind of where we have been all week. It's the story, really. The NBA is talking about it. Keyonte's just fabulous. And his jump, there's no question, he's on the top of this list. 27 last 10 games. Again, this does not count the last 10 games, so this does not count the San Antonio Spurs game. Because it's games 21 through 30. So Keyonte, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. He's creating 43 points a night, which tells you that 7 assists are yielding to 16 points. So a lot of them are on twos that are tougher. Effective field goal percentage is 56%, which is above league average. He's taking 8 free throws a game, 47% from the field, 45% from 3. It's been the topic all week. It's the top, should be the topic every day. The way Keyonte is played is a game changer, right? Because when we did this conversation all summer long, and I kept asking every single one of our guests, rank the 7, choose 2 or 3. The game, if you recall, if you're new to this, we only need 2, maybe 3 of these guys to hit, right? So if you have Lauri, Ace has to hit. Like, we'll talk about Ace in a second. Ace is in his own category. He has to hit. He has to hit by October of 2027. He's got to be really good. We have Lauri and you have Walker. Those guys, Lauri's established. In my mind, Walker's established as an NBA player. And we have 7 other young players. And we don't actually need 7 to hit. In fact, pretty soon we have to start figuring out which ones are part of our future and which ones aren't. Because you can't have all 7 of them. Hopefully you have a draft pick this upcoming season. You're starting to add other pieces to the puzzle. And you start to fiddle through. Like, one thing about Oklahoma City is on most of their draft picks, they missed. They hit on the Clippers pick Jalen Williams. They hit on Chet Holmgren. They missed on Pokusevski. They missed on Mann. They missed on Maladin. They missed on a lot, and they got off them. That's kind of how this works. So that it's not a guarantee that not all 7 of our kids are going to make it. At least not with us. Or probably going to make it. Though each day, each of them looks more viable in their own right. And so what we do here is we'll rank the 7 and most likely to be on the roster when we play in our next playoff game. Key obviously hits number 1. He didn't have, let's be perfectly clear, he wasn't on everybody's list as somebody who was going to be one of the 7 this offseason. That's how dramatic this jump is. When I did this with Thurl and Bowler and Booner and Tim Lacombe and Eric Spiropoulos, Jazz.com writer, and we ran through every single one of these guys, it's a pretty clear that, like, it wasn't universal who the 7 were in any way. In fact, I think Cody and Taylor were on my 7 with Key. I had heard on Key. So Key's the big jump. I mean, what's incredible to me is the first 10 games of the year with Key this year, we were ecstatic. And his effective field goal percentage was 49. His last 10 games, last stretch of 10, it's 56. It's a huge jump. His field goal percentage in the last first 10 games when we were ecstatic was 44% from the field and 27% from 3. And quite honestly, I was quietly saying, like, hey, like the 3-point shooting percentage has got to come back up. One thing on Key, and I did this on all the players, is in the last 10 games, Keyonte's offensive rating is a 121. For the first 20 games of the year, his offensive rating was a 114, so that's a huge jump. His defensive rating for the last 10 games is brutal. It's a 127. It was brutal before. It was a 123. His hasn't changed that much. Some of these others, guys, unfortunately, one of the themes you're going to see here is a nice offensive burst and a disastrous defensive dump in the last 10 games on some of our players. So let's get to the guy who's made the next guy who's made the biggest jump in my book. And that's Kyle Filipowski. The offense over the last 10 games has been at its best when Kyle Filipowski, or the games 21 through 30 is the way I should probably phrase that. The offense has been at its best when Kyle Filipowski is on the floor in this 10-game stretch of any player on the Jazz roster. Now, that's pretty interesting. Now, that's playing sometimes with Kevin Love, sometimes playing the center, sometimes starting, a lot of different roles. So Kyle's offensive rating of a 122 in that time period, being the best of anyone on the roster, is pretty great. His defensive rating, unfortunately, has gone from a 112 to a 121. And whether we can defend with Kyle on the floor is always going to be an issue. But there are some other signs here that are pretty great. So one, Flip's overall rebounding rate in the last 10 games is up from 19.5 to 23%. You're not looking at astronomical jumps. But that's his defensive rebounding rate, has jumped 3 percentage points in the last 10 in games 21 through 30. His usage rate went down. His effective field goal percentage skyrockets. His effective field goal percentage in games 21 through 30 is 60%. Prior to that, it was 50%. So a huge uptick in offensive performance by Kyle Filipowski. Games 1 through 10, Flip averaged 7 points a game. Games 11 through 20, he averaged 10 points a game. Games 21 through 30, he's averaging 12 points a game. His rebounds are up. His minutes have gone from 22 to 26. This was a really nice 10-game stretch. That defensive rating of 121 is problematic. But how did he do it? The biggest thing he did is he made his layups. First 10 games of the year, he shot 42% on layups and dunks. In the last 10 games, he shot 66% on layups and dunks. For Kyle Filipowski to be a rotation player when the Jazz play their next playoff game, there are 2 areas that are going to prohibit it. 3. 1, defense. What position? How's he on the floor defensively? 2, and he has to change how he's defended. He went from he's going to have to be a position defender from a vertical defender. 2, does he make his threes? Is he good? He's got to be a 35% three-point shooter. And 3, does he make his can he score around the basket? Because if he doesn't make his threes and he doesn't score around the basket, for all the other great things he has offensively, then there's not actually anything really there. Last games 21 through 30, shot 35% from 3. His layup rate was 48% of his shots were layups or dunks, and he made 66%. That is awesome. From 42% to 66%. First 10, this is why you look at 10-game windows. And the team's offensive rating jumped considerably. Fortunately, defensive rating did too. Defensive number did too. But it's in rebounding numbers much better. To me, the biggest jump, other than the incredible Keyonte George all-star level jump that we've seen in the last 10 games, was by Kyle Filipowski. How did Ace Bailey fare in the last 10 games compared to the other 10-game windows? Bryce Sensiba, Isaiah Collier, Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton, and Cody Williams all coming as well on Locked on Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Chevy, located in Logan, Linden, and at 4646 South State Street. The Murdochs have been in Utah for over 90, 100 years. I've lost count, but you got the point. They are fabric, part of our culture, part of who we are. They are immersed in Utah. And then the Hyundai car is amazing. I'm driving the Santa Fe hybrid right now. When I fill up the gas tank, it's like 600 miles till I get my next gas tank. It's awesome. 3 rows of seats. I have the bucket seats in the middle, so lots of room. Everyone's comfortable. We piled in 4 people easily. Got the skis over to Deer Valley this weekend. Had a great time with it. It's perfect for moving people around. Great driving car. Absolutely been fabulous. Absolutely love it. Plus, we do own the Ioniq 5, and my dad owns the Ioniq 6. Both the electric cars, amazing. At Hyundai, at 4646 South State Street. If you're going to stop by Murdoch Hyundai, please send me an email first at dlock09@gmail.com so we can make sure we get you the VIP treatment that you deserve at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by Intercap Lending. Intercap Lending has our own personal loan officer for you as a locked-on everydayer. This gives you a chance to get the personal treatment you deserve, the VIP treatment you deserve. So whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or exploring options, Intercap Lending is here for you. And Steve Carter is our own personal loan officer. There's simply nobody better than Steve. Carlos Alvarez says Steve is the best, always on top. He gets back to you after hours if needed. One of the best companies and persons I've ever dealt with in all my years. Thank you, Steve, for a great experience. Tim Dravovic says, highly recommend. Steve was phenomenal, very thorough. He made my experience very easy, beginning to end. Wonderful people at Intercap. So if you're looking for a loan right now, Intercap is here to simplify that journey to home ownership. If you're ready to make the move, or if you're just exploring, let's get you in touch with Steve Carter. You can email me at dlock09@gmail.com. I'll make the introduction for you. Or you can call Steve directly at 385-800-8528, NMLS number 11-786666. On Intercap Lending, Steve Carter is your own personal loan officer from Locked On, and we're going to take care of you as the VIP you deserve to be. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. If you have not done so already, welcome. We have the brand new Everydayer Club. The Everydayer All Access Club is the big shebang. That's give it to a gift, give it to your big Jazz fan, be a part of the exclusive group. Here's what you get on that. You get bonus episodes from Leaf Tulane, who's breaking down the draft for you, Jazz projections, all sorts of things. Leaf's doing amazing work on that. Bonus episodes. I'll try to get you some bonus episodes at times as well. You get one-on-one texting with me. You get all my game notes pregame. You got just a moment ago, you got the Celtic pregame sheet. You get in-game notes from me. You get my latest prep. You get daily newsletter into your inbox. You get 15% off at the team store. The team store, the Locked On store. Locked On store, not team store. Locked On, our team store. Locked On store, which you get exclusive access to that not everybody can get access to. You get ad-free. You get Locked On Sports Today ad-free in your feed as well. And you get the access to the Discord. That's all for $15 a month, $150 a year, 2 months off. If you sign up for the entire year, go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com, become a part of the Everydayer Club, all access. There's also the regular Everydayer Club, Locked On Sports Today, Discord, and ad-free episodes of Locked On. That's for $5 a month. Join it today. We'd love to have you aboard. Super fun. I'm excited about it. All right, let's continue. Bryce Sensiba. This was interesting to me. I thought Bryce Sensiba was going to have the biggest jump, not Kyle Filipowski. This is why looking at 10 games matter. Bryce has made some nice adjustments. And I said this yesterday. I don't want to pound this. I feel like we're getting close on decision time on Bryce, frankly. I would love to see Bryce. I thought Bryce looked different in the starting lineup when Ace Bailey was out. Everything looked different when Ace Bailey was out. And I would like to see Bryce get some more minutes with that group. I think he's going to be best as a complementary player in the NBA. He's always been a number one option. When he plays off the bench, he kind of has to play that role as a number one option. I'm not sure I think that's the best for him. I thought he looked really comfortable inside that group. Frankly, that we're not great defensively. He's not great defensively, but I'd like to, okay. So somewhere in the next 10 games, it would be interesting to me if Bryce got a real minutes jump to be or in the next stretch of games, just evaluate it. So he averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, which is exactly what he averaged in the previous 10 games. His effective field goal percentage was the exact same. He shot 42% from the floor and only 34% from 3. In contrast to the month before, it was 41-37. He did move off the three-point line a little bit in the last 10 games. I think he's adjusted his game a little bit there. He's scoring more at the free throw line, and he's taking 45% of his points came from threes instead of 55% of his points. It's a big change, actually. This is, again, why Will's right about looking at everybody in 10-game increments. The defense with him on the floor has always been bad. It's a 120, went to a 126, which honestly is virtually unplayable. Like a defensive rating of a 126 is pretty horrific. All of our guys are there, though. Like, I don't know why, but just to give it to you, like, just so we have an understanding of this number and what it means. This is the defensive rating when a player is on the floor. I'm using NBA.com, not cleaning the glass. So the average offensive team in the league is a 115. The best offense in the league is a 124. The worst defense is a 122. Okay. Our guys in the last 10 games, to Flip's credit, is a 121. It wasn't great, but it's not terrible. Keyonte's a 128. Hendricks is a 128. Collier's a 127. Kevin Love's a 131, which is part of the reason the other guys are there is because they're playing with Yusuf Nurkic out. But even Yusuf Nurkic is a 126. Bryce Sensiba is a 127. Those are horrific numbers. Cody Williams, by the way, in limited time is a 103. Now, some of that's garbage time. Some of that, and that does not count the Spurs game. So I'm not sure why that is, but it's eye-opening. His defensive rating is wildly different than everybody else's. So Bryce's defensive rating jumping from a 120 to 126 is alarming. Otherwise, that was a pretty flat 10-game stretch for Bryce, but he moved inside the three-point line. Let's go to Isaiah Collier. Collier, first 10 games, injury. So we're really looking at the second 10 games compared to the third 10 games. He went from creating 22 points a night to creating 28 points a night. That's a big jump. Like, it sounds like just 6 points, but 6 points on 22 is about 30%. It's 28. But his effective field goal percentage is sitting at 50%. He's taking 1.3 threes a game. He was taking 0.9. He did make 39%. He's working very hard with Andrew Warren, our shooting coach. Hopefully has an understanding he has to make this shot. It has to be a part of what he's doing. His layup and dunk rate. So percentage of his field goals that are layups and dunks. Interestingly, really went the other way. And I don't know why. So I'm double checking this to make sure it's right. Because no, actually, went up a little bit. Sorry, I didn't think that was right. I read it wrong. So 57% of his layups and dunks or shots are layups and dunks. Last month was 54. I think he's become a much better finisher. He's getting 67% of his points at the rim. And I think that's probably the answer for him. And in the last, he's getting 67% of his points basically, 67% of his field goals made at the rim. And then 24% of his points are coming from free throws. Did you understand? There was a slight change, and I want to make sure you got that. That it's percentage of points, or field goals made. To compare that to his first 10 games, he was at 72%. So it's kind of where he is, but he's slipped it's gone down a time. I don't want to call it slipped. The only one that's interesting is in the first 10 games, he had 34% of his points at the free throw line. And now it's to 24%. So that either is that he's got more versatility to his game, that he's able to do some more things. We'll see. In the first 10 games, he got 23% of his points on fast breaks, and he stayed right there at 24%. So an improvement, I think, by Isaiah Collier in the last 10 games in just the amount of impact he's having in the game, going from creating 22 points a game to 28. Defensive rating, good news. Offensive rating when he's on the floor went from 106 to 116. So first 10 games, 11 through 20, his offensive rating was a 106. Now it's a 116. He's part of the offensive explosion. He is also part of the defensive disaster. Now he plays a lot of minutes with Kevin Love. There are some weird things on Isaiah Collier's on-floor, off-floor, plus-minus numbers. I cannot break it down into 10-game increments, so I probably should leave it out for this. I've been trying to look at it to understand it and see what his impact is, because you can feel his impact on the floor. But as of right now, we are 3 percentage points less good offensively when he's on the floor, and 10 percentage points less good defensively when he's on the floor. He is our worst plus-minus player right now, even more so than Ace. So that's worth keeping an eye on. Some of that feels like it's Kevin Love. We are 17 points per 100 percentage points worse when Kevin Love is on the floor defensively. Kevin Love is 37 years old and playing center. This is not his fault. I've tried to run the numbers on Isaiah because the eyeball doesn't match that entirely. But the defensive rating when Kevin Love's off the floor and Isaiah's on, so he's playing with Nurk, is 126, which is not good. If you take Flip off the lineup as well, so it's basically only with Nurk, it's a 123, which is better but not good. And then the weird one is that the lineup that feels so good on the floor, which is Keyonte and Isaiah together, now often that is with Lauri, or without Lauri, because that's how we're playing, is a minus 19. So then when you fiddle with that and you put Lauri back in there to say, well, that's because they're playing without Lauri. So what happens when they do that? They're a minus 21. Something's funky there. It's worth keeping an eye on. I don't really know what I think of it. But it's not super to be. When Isaiah, Keyonte, and Lauri are on the floor together, our defensive rating is a 130. Our offensive rating is a 109. We're minus 21. Not a lot. 305 possessions. Just worth keeping a little bit of an eye on. All right. Ace Bailey. I would say the last 10 games was a little bit of a dip. So he went for the first 10 games averaging 6 points a game, and he skyrocketed to the middle 10 games to average 14 points a game. And he went from 35% to 53% on the field. And he went from 38% to 42%. And you kind of wondered whether there was a meteoric rise that was about to happen after Ace Bailey's middle 10-game stretch where his effective field goal percentage was 65% and he was 53 and 42, and you're like, holy crap. And then I think the fact that he never goes to the free throw line came back to bite him. He went to the free throw line 0.7 times per game in that first stretch, and he's going to the free throw line 1.1 times since. And the other thing is he just does not get to the rim right now. He doesn't know how. These are fine. This is what he's going to learn. These are with his athletic ability. But his layup and dunk rate in the last 10 games is 23%. So 23% of his field goal attempts are layups or dunks. They're only if like back cuts or fast breaks. He just doesn't get to the basket right now. He on his dribble drive, he does not quite know how to do that. He went, I believe, on layups in the last 10 games, he basically went 1 of 4. He's shooting 25% on layups. And so everything's a jump shot. So there's going to be my point is that there's going to be a lot of variance. And so Ace took a little bit of a dip. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. He took a little bit of a dip because I think he's just got high variance. All right. What about Walt Clayton, Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams? Next, as we continue looking at games 21 through 30 in 10 game stretches on Locked on Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you in part by Game Time. Use the code Locked on NBA, get 20% off your first purchase at Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy of the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on the feet, and fans want to be there for those moments. Whether it's Arizona coming in to play the University of Utah, whether it's the Celtics coming in to play the Jazz, get Game Time. Game Time app gives the fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets. Fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward, intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few steps. Seeing the view from your seat before buying makes tickets easy and confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start, and there's zone deals, which unlock great seats at even better values. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's Locked on NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get into the action. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. I don't know why that just became that. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On. And every Friday, FanDuel is revving up the basketball season with Friday happy hour. Before the games tip off, FanDuel give fans a new way to kick off the weekend with the NBA happy hour. NBA happy hour, the official pregame limited time, which offers special deals drop right inside the FanDuel app. So Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, 4 to 5:30 our time, have become appointment viewing for NBA happy hour. You open the FanDuel app during the happy hour, and it brings you something new. Boosts, bonuses, surprises, easy to check the weekly special before tip-off. Make a move before the window closes. So NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday at NBA happy hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. That's not what's supposed to play. All right, let's do our last 3 players in the last 30, and then we'll rank them. I'm going to hold consistent on Taylor. We're just not judging him yet. He's going to get an incomplete. I promised he would get incompletes. Maybe after All-Star break in March, we'll put a little grade on him. It is worth noting that he is shooting 66% from the field and 61% from 3 the last 10 games. Playing 16 minutes a night and scoring 9 points, which is a pretty high rate. The offense with him on the floor has gone from a 113. The defense with him on the floor in the previous 10 games was a 113. It has gone to a 127. This is, to me, when I watch Taylor, where the lack of games played is most obvious. He just does not have a feel of where he needs to be on the floor defensively at the right times. We're minus 11 per 100 possessions when he's on the floor in the last 10 games. So, by the way, Lauri's +2, Kyle's plus 0.6, and everybody else is minus over the last 10 games, even though we've been playing well. We got blown out a few times, right? There's some ugly moments in there. New York, Denver. So everyone's fairly negative. So Taylor's defensive jump is concerning, but I also think that's where he's just missing time. I'm not judging Taylor. Let's go to Walt. This was really interesting to me. If you remember the last time we did this, we were 2 games behind because of the schedule, and Walt was on fire. And it was like my expectation was this was going to be the discussion of Walt, was games 21 through 30. And then he really fell off. And then he had a good game. He does this every time. He had a good game that doesn't count yet. So Walt's last 10 games, 21 through 30, Walt shot 43% from the field and 30% from 3. Coming off a 32% and 14%. Here's what's interesting to me about Walt because of what Will Hardy said the other night. Will Hardy said that Walt's really a scorer, not a shooter. And Walt, in the last games 21 through 30, averaged 7 points per 16 minutes compared to 4 points for 15 minutes. So he also shot it way better. His effective field goal percentage was 51%. The previous 10 games was 36. Walt basically doubled his scoring output per minute on the floor in games 21 through 30 than he did in 11 through 20. That backs up the point that Walt's just trying to figure out how he's going to be best utilized and what his role is and how it works. Last one's Cody. I'll tell you what, Cody was on my 3 all offseason. And I'm still sitting on the island a little bit. He is so far behind physically. The corner 3, which is where he gets a bunch of looks in our offense, is clearly not a shot he can make right now. He's like 20% in his career. There are times where he looks so horrific. That's like my word today. And I actually still kind of believe. Honestly, the corner 3 shooting thing is like, the shooting thing's a problem. He just is not making any shots at all. He played so little in this stretch. But I will say, like, the defensive number, which doesn't even count the other night, is at least a little interesting. The open floor stuff, athleticism I see is still interesting, like exciting. And his body and length is really great. And if he can keep gaining weight, like it gets, but he's shooting 12% from 3. Got to be able to make shots. Cody's incomplete as well, just due to lack of time. Played 11 minutes. His defensive number is interesting. Like his defensive number is 10 points better than anybody else on the floor in the 10 games. That doesn't even count the game against. Now, a lot of that's probably some garbage time, but still worth noting. So, after this stretch of 10 games, the list players most likely to be a rotation player for the Utah Jazz the next time they play a playoff game. Keyonte is obviously top there. Ace does not count in this. I'm going flip number 2. The ability to finish at the rim. The positive impact with him on the floor right now. I thought that was a noticeable jump. I'm perplexed. Taylor gets an incomplete. I'm going to hold on Cody Island one more time. Cody Island is holding at number 3. Wow. Might be crazy. I can't tell. Sensiba, Clayton, and Collier. I really can't tell. Clayton is still so young. I have just no idea. Isaiah had a really nice jump in those 28 points created. I'm going to go Collier. I'm going to go Bryce. And I'm going to go Clayton, a little bit out of inexperience. That can change, and it will in 10 games. That's the fun part about this. All right, I had Nurk and Lauri notes. I'll throw them to the everydayers. You'll get them as text messages. There's some interesting things on what Lauri's doing. Celtic stuff I'll send you as well. We ran out of time. Fun game tonight. I maybe not postcast. I have an 11:15 flight to Vegas. So for the Vegas Bowl to do the game with my daughter. So we'll see whether or not I make it or not. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. That has been Locked on Jazz today. We now send you join the Everydayer Club. LockedOnJazz.supercast.com. LockedOnJazz.supercast.com.